This is Self-Reflections with Nekesa. Last week, we were looking at how to develop self-acceptance. And today we are going to continue from where we stopped. You know, most of us grew with conditional positive regard from our caregivers who are quite judgmental. So this affected the way we view things and the way we do things. But with self-awareness and self-acceptance, then we also train ourselves to give unconditional positive regard. Once we understand and accept what we don't like about ourselves, then we begin to handle each aspect of our lives with compassion instead of using negative mechanisms such as denial. Because when you deny, then you keep on living in feelings of guilt and shame. You need to know that God is love, and we should embrace His unconditional love. You remember the God factor. When I began about self-awareness, I talked about being created in the image of God. Man was created in the image of God, the imago Dei. Therefore, there is no purpose outside God. Outside of God, you cannot find purpose. Outside of God, you cannot find purpose. So you have to embrace the unconditional love of God and remember that there is no emotional condition, past, present, or future, that can change the fact that you're precious and unique. Do you know that you're very precious and you're very unique? The psalmist says that, oh God, you know my thoughts even before I utter them, that I am fearfully and wonderfully created. That truth must sink into you. When you awaken to God's love, you become more loving to others, because God is love and you realize that God loves you unconditionally. Then you begin to also love others because that love flows to others through you. You don't have to add or fight or prove your worthiness. You don't have to do anything to fight for attention, to prove that you're worthy. I don't know. You know the way we do things sometimes, it shows that we are fighting. When we become people pleasers, it normally shows that we are trying to prove that we are worthy. There are some people they cannot do anything for their children or their spouse, but you will find outside there, they can even go on their knees, trying to please people. We normally see these things of side chicks. We talk about side chicks. You realize that some people cannot even buy a gift for their spouse or do anything for their spouse. But outside there, they are busy trying to do things for the so-called side chicks. They will go at length to do everything. Those are people who really don't have self-worthiness. They've never known who they are, and they have never accepted themselves. Because you see, if you know that those are some of your weaknesses, that you struggle with a lack of identity, that you look for self-worthiness, the moment you realize that those are some of the issues you struggle with and you accept, then you are able to seek help. You could seek therapy, you would find ways of resolving that. But when you don't, you begin to cope negatively. And some of those negative coping traits are those things of having side chicks. Those are not things to boast about. Those are negative coping mechanisms. And they are strong indicators of low self-esteem. Because somebody who knows themselves cannot mistreat their spouses. One thing I need you to understand is the moment you stop fighting to prove your worthiness. The moment you accept who you are, your strengths and your weaknesses, and you just give them back to God and you accept the unconditional love of God, then you can take risks to dream and evolve into your authentic self. This is because you are not judging yourself. Somebody like me, I love fashion, and I'm a person who believes in God so much. I have a relationship with Him, but I don't judge myself harshly. I've accepted that aspect and fact that I love fashion, and this helps me to just evolve into my authentic self. I can put on makeup, dress, and be confident about the way I look because I've accepted that aspect of me without using religion or anything to judge me, because it is not stepping on anybody. I'm not violating anyone. I'm not sinning against anybody, but it is just something that I love and I embrace. One thing I want to remind you, and it should stick deep within you, you don't have any power to recreate yourself outside God. You can never. All these things about recreation, doing things outside of God, they are deceptions. You don't have the power to recreate yourself outside God. Realize this truth, that all of you are loved by God unconditionally. Give yourself permission to be happy. Glorify God by reflecting compassion, love, intelligence, and beauty. You see, when I come here to talk about mental awareness, mental health, psychology, there are believers who think that coming up with such a program is ungodly. Let me tell you, God created the emotions. God works with the intellect, and we reflect God's love to others through our intelligence, through our beauty, through our love, our compassion. When you just neglect yourself physically, you cannot comp yourself, you don't take care of yourself, you are not glorifying God. People will be repulsed by your image. So it is important to bear all that. Be your authentic self and teach others through your lifestyle. Viewers, I have to finish off. And today, I'm going to give you homework. I want you to practice daily 10-minute meditation of I am willing to feel how loved I am. I am willing to feel how loved I am. You will do this by finding a quiet place. Number 2, focus on your breath. Just focus on the way you breathe in, breathe out. And as you focus on your breath, quiet your mind. Just quiet your mind. Don't judge. I'm not saying you find peace. As you quiet your mind, there are thoughts that will begin coming in. Don't fight with those thoughts. Whatever thoughts that they are, it just doesn't matter what they are. But I want you to be very aware during that moment of what you're thinking. I'm not telling you go and take the Bible or the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita. I'm not telling you to take any book and read. I'm just telling you to set some time apart and allow yourself, as you breathe and even as you think, whatever comes in, pay attention Don't fix those thoughts. Don't edit them. You know, Christians, I know we do that. We've been taught when the thoughts come, we say, Ashindwe, and we still keep on doing the same things. No, that's not what I'm saying. When those thoughts come, don't edit, don't fix. I want you to accept them. Accept that those are the thoughts that are flowing in your mind. Because what you accept, you will transform. You see, we are struggling because we have not been able to accept. As I told you, when you accept things, you can take them to God. And that's what I'm telling you. The moment you begin thinking about depressing thoughts, thoughts that you would label as evil, thinking, planning to steal, planning to do something, accept those thoughts. And as you accept them, remember that God loves you unconditionally. Allow God's love to flow through. Take them back to God. Because as you accept, what you accept transforms. But what you resist persists. Because if genuinely all you're thinking about is stealing, and you're resisting and denying that such thoughts don't exist in you, you'll definitely end up stealing. Because as a man thinks, so is he. So as you accept, the transformation begins there. And if you're having thoughts, and definitely there are some thoughts when you don't feel peaceful about those thoughts, it means those thoughts are lies. And an example are thoughts of shame, thoughts that come with guilt. Anything that does not bring peace is not the truth. It is a lie or a deception, and you have to let it go. Talk to it and just speak and say, I let it go. You know, any thought that comes in you and begins to interrupt your peace and steal your peace, that thought is not the truth. It is a lie, and you have to let it go. And finally, allow yourself to connect with God, and you shall truly find peace and accept yourself unconditionally. Until then, happy 2022. See ya.